Why do humans have consciousness? Every night, something strange happens to you. You disappear. For roughly 8 hours, the person reading these words right now ceases to exist. Your memories stop updating. Your awareness vanishes. The world continues without you. Then, every morning, you wake up and perform an act of faith so automatic you never question it. You open your eyes and assume you're the same person who went to sleep. Not a copy. Not a replacement. You. But here's the problem. Nobody has ever found where that you actually lives. Scientists can point to the parts of your brain that process vision, the regions that store memories, the circuits that control movement. They can watch neurons fire in real time and predict decisions before you're aware you've made them. But after decades of research, they still can't answer a question that sounds almost childish. Why does any of this feel like something from the inside? Why isn't your brain just processing information in the dark? Why is there an experience attached to it? Why are you conscious? At first, the answer seems obvious. Because you're intelligent. Humans are smart. We solve equations, build cities, send robots to other planets. Maybe consciousness is just what happens when a brain becomes complicated enough. Makes sense. Until you start looking closer. Because intelligence and consciousness aren't the same thing. A calculator can outperform you at arithmetic. A chess engine can destroy grandmasters. Modern AI can write essays, generate images, and hold conversations. Yet, none of those things necessarily feel anything. You can process information without being conscious. And that creates a problem. A very uncomfortable problem. If intelligence isn't enough, then what exactly creates awareness? To understand why this question is so difficult, imagine walking into a movie theater. The screen lights up. Characters appear, explosions happen, music plays. Now imagine asking a simple question. Where is the movie? Not the projector, not the speakers, not the seats, the movie itself. You can point to every physical component in the room, but the movie isn't hiding inside any one of them. It's something that emerges when all the pieces work together. Some scientists think consciousness works the same way. Your brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons. Each neuron is just a cell. Nothing magical. Nothing mystical. On its own, a neuron is about as conscious as a grain of rice. But neurons don't stay alone. Each one forms thousands of connections. Signals race through vast networks at speeds reaching hundreds of kilometers per hour. At any given moment, trillions of electrical messages are moving through your skull. And somehow, out of all that activity, a mind appears. The theory sounds reasonable, until you push on it. Because emergence explains how something appears. It doesn't explain why it feels like something. A hurricane emerges from air molecules. The stock market emerges from human decisions. A city emerges from millions of people. None of those things are conscious. So why would a brain be different? And this is where things get strange. In the 1990s, philosopher David Chalmers gave this mystery a name. He called it the hard problem of consciousness. The easy problems are things like memory, attention, language, decision-making. They're difficult scientifically, but at least they have a shape. You can imagine discovering the mechanisms behind them. The hard problem is different. Even if scientists explained every single process inside your brain, one question would remain. Why does any of it feel like anything at all? Why does seeing red produce the experience of redness? Why does pain hurt? Why doesn't your brain simply process information like a computer running silently in a server room? Nobody knows. And that uncertainty has produced some incredibly strange ideas. One theory says consciousness is generated when information becomes sufficiently integrated. According to neuroscientist Giulio Tononi, consciousness isn't about intelligence. It's about connectedness. The more information a system combines into a unified whole, the more conscious it becomes. In this view, your brain isn't conscious because it's smart. It's conscious because billions of separate processes become one experience. You don't see colors separately from sounds. You don't experience your left eye separately from your right. Everything arrives as a single unified reality. The theory is elegant, but it comes with an odd consequence. If consciousness comes from integrated information, then tiny amounts of consciousness might exist in places we never expected. Not just animals, not just humans, potentially everywhere. And that leads to a possibility so strange that most people instinctively reject it. What if consciousness isn't created by the brain at all? What if it's fundamental? Think about electricity. For most of human history, electricity looked magical. People saw lightning and had no idea what it was. Then, science revealed something surprising. Electricity wasn't being created by storms. It already existed as part of reality itself. Storms simply organized it into a visible form. Some philosophers wonder whether consciousness works similarly. Perhaps brains don't generate awareness. Perhaps they organize it. The way a radio doesn't create music, it tunes into signals that already exist. Now, to be clear, there is currently no evidence proving that's true, but there is also no evidence proving it isn't, which is why the debate refuses to die. The deeper scientists look, the stranger the mystery becomes, and buried inside that mystery is a paradox. You're the only consciousness you will ever directly observe. You can see other people. You can talk to them. You can measure their brains, but you never experience their awareness, only your own. The universe spent 13.8 billion years producing stars, galaxies, planets, oceans, cells, and brains. And somewhere along that journey, matter began looking back at itself. A collection of atoms became aware that it existed. And if that doesn't strike you as strange, it's probably because you've been conscious for so long that you've forgotten how impossible it really is. Like, share, and subscribe for more interesting explainers. Thanks for watching.